This was a short trade from earlier this morning. It is, what is the date today? It is June 18th. So this would have happened June 18th around the beginning of the New York session. Now down below, we've got the session indicator, so I know where we are when we're looking to trade. This is really good for backtesting. When we're trading live, generally we've got a good idea what session we're in. But I do like to have this on the chart, especially if I'm showing you guys something. When we're taking a look at when the market's going to move, when it doesn't move, having this on the chart really is a helpful thing. We can see in these areas between the end of New York and the first bit of Asia, the market's very quiet, and we're seeing that again now. Currently, we're at the end of New York and the market's very quiet. But what I want to do is take a look at this section of the market and show you how this trade happened. This was something that we took earlier. And I want to reverse engineer this with you based on the tools that you have available in the YouTube videos that I've already presented to you. All right, so we're going to put this on replay and we're going to walk this forward. And again, yes, it is going to be on replay. And yes, I do know that the market has done this. We've already played this out, so we know how this works. The point of this video is to show you the different aspects, the different components that we considered before taking this trade and letting this trade run. All right, so we're going to get rid of the window. We're going to put on the replay, and I'll put the replay on in about here. So we've got three indicators, three moving averages on the chart, and we've got the dots. Now you've got the moving averages and you've got the dots. Now, the first thing that I'm looking at is this 15-minute time frame. I want to squeeze it up a little bit because it is stretched tall, and I want to get a better idea of how the market looks in a more natural state. If the market is too stretched, it becomes very difficult to see, and it becomes very difficult to properly analyze. So if I scroll back a little bit, what I'm going to do is squish the chart up and just see, is this leg length something similar to previous leg lengths? And we can see how the market has moved. This is a market movement at the beginning of that New York session, and it's very big. And we can see again here, we've got this nice big set of leg lengths in the New York session, the beginning part of New York. And again, this huge monster move at the beginning of New York. So knowing that New York can move really well, I'm going to prepare for a good looking move in New York. Now, the next thing is this going to be a trade that I want to take? Are we in a position that is going to make for a good trade? Now, the first thing I'll do is put on my retracement tool. So I've got this Fibonacci retracement tool from the top to the bottom. I'm taking a look to see if this pullback is a good enough pullback for me to warrant taking a short trade. And what I'm looking for is a market to move from the top to the bottom and then make a pullback into this Fibonacci window. And that's exactly what it did. It pulled back far enough that the market can now continue to move forward. And taking a look at this market moved down. This wasn't something that I had considered. The market was flat, it was choppy, it was sideways. The moving averages were all over the place. Once this market started to move, we did get that separation of the moving averages. We got the orientation of the moving averages. So at this point right here, we got all the moving averages in order for a short trade. The trend is down. Now we've got the pullback. So we had this trend turned down. The market moved really well. Then it made an adequate pullback. So now we're looking for an opportunity to go short. Now there's a couple of different targets that we can use if we're going to go short on this. So let's take a look at what the first target would be. Now we haven't gone short yet. These dots are in the way. Currently, these green dots are in front of where we want the price to go. So if we want the price to drop, they are going to be in the way. I want them out of the way. I want them to turn red and then appear across the top of the price. So because we're just waiting for candles to form, is assess where could this market go. Now there's two different ways to do this. I like to target areas of support and resistance, and this is the nearest area of support. So if the price drops, this would make an excellent target. And if you had taken this trade to this target, no one would fault you for looking to go any further than that. But what I want to do is get a little bit more. If I do take this trade, the entry is going to be in here somewhere. My stop loss is going to be up here somewhere. And from here to here, we're looking at about 1-to-1. I want to get a little bit more than 1-to-1. So where could I target that could realistically get me a little bit more than 1-to-1? So if I zoom back out, I'm going to put a horizontal line just under this area. Now I may have to move up a time frame. I'm going to go up to the 1 hour time frame, and I'm seeing there is a really nice area just in here. So if I pull this down in here, halfway through these wicks, this becomes a nice target. I know that the price can get all the way to the bottom potentially, and we are looking like the price had already moved a little bit more than halfway to that. Now I've got an idea where the price could potentially go. We've got two really good levels of support in here. Right across this, we've got support. So we've got all this support in here, and we're currently at that. The next level is down here. So we've got this really good second level of support. I'm going to leave this one on the chart just for now, and we'll look for a different way to potentially get a bigger trade. Now we have talked about leg length. So we're going to take a look at leg length. This is the most current market move. So I am going to draw a trend line from the top to the bottom, and that gives me a leg length. Now, if I squish the chart again, is this a reasonable leg length? Is this something that the market can seem to repeatedly do? Move this sort of distance. And we see this in here, that the market is able to do that. We see that again in here from the bottom to the top. Market is able to do that. We see that more than enough in here. So this leg length does seem to be something that the market can fairly regularly achieve. Now, with that being the case, let's zoom in again. If the market can move from this high to this low, it might be able to do that again. So let's duplicate that and put this leg length at the start of this high right here. So now we've got a second leg length. We've got leg length number 1, we've got leg length number 2. And if you look at this leg length happens to get to that level of support. Now that we are in replay, there's nothing we can do except take a trade. But we can't do that just yet because the dots are in the way. What I want is to forward this until we get the first candle that appears and the dots have moved from underneath to above. So let's do that. We'll step this forward a little bit. Is this one? That's not one. So what we're looking at is potentially another high into this area. So again, if I draw that Fibonacci retracement, and as long as it doesn't get above it, I'm still good to go short on this one. Let's print a couple candles. This one is good. We've got an opportunity. There's a couple of different ways that we can approach this now. Are we looking for an elimination trade, or can we just place the trade and go for a short in this area? Now we haven't really moved, so looking for a pullback might not yield anything. So the ideal trade for me would be to place an entry under the low of the candle that switched the dots. This is one of the trade types that we repeatedly use in the Ultra Blue Forex members area. So we're going to place that trade. Now the trade hasn't been triggered yet. We are simply placing an order. Now this was the most recent high. I'm going to move this over here. So we've got a leg length. We're going to target that leg length. And at this point, all we can do is play this out. And looking at this one, we've got a nice return on this one. That's going to give me closer to a 4-to-1 trade on this. All right, so let's just move this forward. Now, as this trade moves, we're going to look for an opportunity to manage this trade. Now, we are very close to the bottom side. We're more than halfway to our target. I'm going to take my stop loss at this point, and I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive with it. Generally, I'd be putting my stop loss along the dots and managing the trade along the dots. But because we're as close as we are to the target, I'm going to start getting a little bit more aggressive with my stop loss. All right, again, we are getting closer and closer. So I'm looking at this white candle, and then the fact that we've got this push down after that white candle, this gives me a nice area to put my stop. And we'll continue. And are we out of the trade yet? No, not yet. And this next one takes us out of the trade. Now, this was a super clean trade. Generally, they don't move quite as clean or as straightforward as this, but we did luck out and we did get a nice trade or a nice market movement out of this. Again, we looked at 4-to-1 on this. Generally, a 4-to-1, a 5-to-1, and a 6-to-1. These are normal size trades based on the kind of information that you already know. So if you're not familiar with leg lengths, check out that video. If you're not familiar with pullbacks, check out that video. If you're not familiar with ideal targets, check out that video. If you're not familiar with how to trail your stop loss, check out that video. I've got all of those videos available to you on this YouTube channel. Check them out. Learn how this works. And this is a process that you can repeat day in and day out. These are the methods that I trade every day. These are the methods that the Ultra Blue Forex members trade. And if you want to be part of that, the link is in the description. If you liked this kind of review, let me know. Now, again, this is something that we do day in and day out. There's nothing new here. This is just how the market moves, and this is how we play the market every time we get a setup like this. If you like this video, give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't. And again, if you want to be part of this in the Ultra Blue Forex members area, the link is in the description below.